All right, Leos, welcome to your yearly 2016 Sidereal Astrology forecast. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below because your sign might be different. All right, Leo, so this year we've got a very transformative set of energies. We've got Jupiter going over the North Node, which is all about that life path, really expanding the life path energies. And Chiron and then Neptune later in the year going over the South Node, which is about releasing. So a lot of old energies being released in regards to healing, in regards to spirituality, even some aspect of our true self, because it's all in Aquarius, your 7th house, later in the year. But there's definitely that shift into your 1st house, which is where the North Node is going to be transiting. So with all of this very transformative energy, Saturn is right smack in the middle, T-squaring both points. And let me go ahead and back up to the beginning of the year, where the North Node will then be going into your 1st house to meet up with Jupiter. So that's the big shift, is right at the beginning. There's, and coming out of 2015, there's been a lot of expansion in regards to the more adventurous spirits of your life. Maybe a lot of you have been opening your horizons quite literally, such as through travel. Maybe it's through philosophy or feeling just optimistic, feeling like there's a lot of possibilities in life, which is great. And it's a great year to ground a lot of that. So now the North Node goes into your 1st. It's been in your 2nd for the past 2.5 years, which is more to do with your financial material aspects, which is going to be expanding the 2nd half when Jupiter goes in there. But the life path energy is more towards you understanding more about yourself. It's going to be a lot about you pursuing your goals, your drives, your ambitions, learning more about who you are and asserting yourself in that healthy way. But to do that, of course, where there's the North Node, there's the South Node, we must release old energies. And these are old energies, this 1st half, very much relating to what's really deep, what's really meaningful. Sometimes there's too much transformation. Sometimes there's too much depth and unhealthy bonds and unhealthy attachments. Maybe it's in relationships. Maybe it has to do with debts or things owed, unhealthy bonds and attachments and fears even that you can release, so that you can then move into more of this expansive energy this year. And there's a lot of it has to do with healing. A lot of you are going to be healing the deeper aspects of self with Chiron shifting into your 8th house this year at the beginning, around February, March. And, this is about the old energies, so old healing, old aspects of self, old aspects of the deeper elements of self, about instincts, about fears, healing old wounds around this stuff. And so it's a very spiritual time to reflect. I mean, this is the one spiritual aspect of it. There's a lot of more mundane expansion for you on a very physical level, which is the North Node, but what's being released is deeper. It's more to do with our fears, our insecurities, our doubts, where we feel wounded, and all of that kind of stuff being let go of. So the more open you are to do that spiritual work, you're creating more space for these new beginnings, which is very much about your 1st house and your goals and drives in life. So that's going to be a big part of it. Now, Saturn's right in the middle of all this, and Saturn's been in your 4th house. So you may have noticed towards the end of 2015, maybe a lot of you have been taking more seriously home, maybe more seriously family, your roots, and maybe even your health as well, which is another 4th house manifestation. So this is a big part of this, because it's the focal point of this T-square, is to work hard in this area. And of course not assume more responsibilities than are healthy, to do it in a balanced way. But the more open you are to working hard to establish yourself with your roots, with your foundations in life, whatever it might be for you personally, it's supporting and helping you build this life path energy, which is very expansive this year for you personally in Leo. And also release these older energies that are very much associated with the past transformation. So that's going to be, a big part of this early, shift is more of that 1st house energy to meet up with that North Node. So there's a lot of positivity, a lot of opportunity, and expansion available. And a lot of this does depend on your personal charts, of course, but collectively for you Leos, at least on some level, this is all taking place. Now, what I want to show you here is the transit graph, which was from the previous later part of 2015. And the reason is because, as you can see, a lot of these energies continue into this year. In fact, whole new set of transits don't even start until December, the end of the year. So it's a continuation of many ways in regards to what we've kind of got a glimpse of in October and November, and even as far back as August. So you've been feeling in August, first of all, with this aspect, that things are possible, that you can expand, but it does take patience and hard work and perseverance, which is Saturn, That's going to continue through at least the first half of this year with Jupiter in your first house. So it's a great year for actualizing what's possible. Now, Jupiter is also trining up to Pluto. So if you want change, it's a fantastic year for change. Changing yourself, changing your identity, your goals, your passions. All this is Jupiter in your first house. The way you express yourself, your confidence levels, all of this is changing or can. Jupiter is opposing up to Chiron, so that's that healing energy we were talking about. And here's the big one. Saturn squaring up to Neptune. This has been that uncertainty and doubt maybe since November, if you've been feeling that. That's going to be going on all the way until September when we have the next set of eclipses. So it's all about hard work with establishing yourself and your roots, but having faith and trust that everything is unfolding in perhaps the relationship sphere of things, or with the business side of things, which is also 7th house, or with legal matters for some of you. So the key with this is working hard and having faith and trust. And when you work with those two elements in tandem, and even having faith and trust about the home stuff too, when that's working in tandem, then it's actualizing a lot of this energy, because it's a big year of faith and really reestablishing our connection to God and spirituality, which is all of this Pisces energy of healing and transformation. So as we go into this year, as you can see, Jupiter conjoins up to the North Node January, February. Okay, and then in March we have the eclipses. Very important time, as it usually is, but especially because Jupiter and Chiron, and soon to be Neptune, are squaring up to Saturn here. So solar eclipse, March 8th, and this is going to be right on the cusp between Aquarius and Pisces. So your 7th and 8th house, all right? So new beginnings in terms of how you can heal and transform and allow these old energies to go, these old fears, inhibitions, things that are holding you down, these bondages that you have perhaps. And even things that you might be idealizing or wanting or dreaming about in terms of one-on-one connections or relationships. All right. So, and the key with this too is it's all about allowing the old energies to go, doing the inner work, having that presence, and it just kind of naturally happens. But it does take hard work because it is approaching, I think for you especially, a lot of attachments and fears at that 8th house. But it's likewise with that, there's so much reward, which is that first house energy of basically your whole life, with Jupiter there in the North Node. Represents your whole life in the chart. So that's March 8th. And so, between March and September, it's a great time to, on one level, on the spiritual level, to do that healing and release. And then by September, you could find a culmination of a lot of that, which then does create that space for these new beginnings. Now, a lunar eclipse on March 23rd is going to be a culmination with perhaps the financial or material stuff, if you've been working on that over the past couple years to some degree, another culminating time with those things, and an awareness, at the very least, of how that can be used to facilitate, again, more of this expansion in your life. Now, the middle part of the year does have a pivot point. As you can see, some of these aspects end, Jupiter squaring up to Saturn, so there could be a culmination with that. Pluto trining up to Jupiter could be a culmination with whatever it is you're changing here with self at this time. But it could also be a time of confusion. Again, Saturn squaring up to Neptune, but different. Not like November. This is where it's the second aspect, and usually the second aspect we get a pretty good idea of, not rationally, but with Neptune intuitively, the importance of faith and trust. And there's usually a shift in some direction with that. And that's the same time Jupiter goes over that North Node again. So big month in the collective astrology there. And it's very much highlighting what we've covered, specifically around the life path and Neptune. Now, at the same time, too, Pluto does trine the North Node in June. So big shifts and big changes. Again, identity, self, goals, plans. Big year for change with that. Now, September, those next set of eclipses, September 1st, we have that solar eclipse in Leo. So there's going to be now new beginnings, as you probably noticed this at the end of 2015 as well, relating to yourself, that identity, all that first house energy, continuously expanding and growing with that. But with that hard work and discipline, I really want to say, which is Saturn squaring up to it. Now, also a part of these second eclipses is that Neptune is conjoining the South Node. All right, so big emphasis here about releasing old energies about relationships, old energies about one-on-one connections, what's unhealthy there, and how to assert yourself in that healthy way, right? More of a focus on what's important to you, what's really important to you, not just that anything and everything is important to you, but what's really important to you is actually good for your relationships. But having that focus point on, on self in terms of what you choose to do, even if you choose to, get involved in a relationship or do some career or do something with home and family or whatever, it's that you're doing it because you want to, right? This is what the first house symbolizes. And with the North Node here, it's just that time for you guys to readjust and reacquaint with that energy. A lunar eclipse on September 16th, so that culminating point, like I was saying, in regards to the healing and transformation there. Okay, relating to the old stuff about relationships in particular, and the deeper aspects of life too. All right, unhealthy fears, unhealthy attachments, things like that. So that's the year in a nutshell. And what I want to say too is December, very new, and a lot of it's involving Uranus, right? Saturn trining Uranus, Jupiter opposite Uranus, Uranus trining the North Node. It's a very freeing year in 2017, but it's all because of this grounding work that we're doing here this year, 2016. And I feel like Saturn is really a very important player with all of this, as well as Jupiter, expanding and seeing how we can grow, how you can grow as an individual, right? And express yourself and do all those things that are you, Leo, but it can be serious, and it is important to take it seriously and to work hard at it. All right, and release any of these old energies relating to healing and spirituality and depth and relationships that are making their way out this year. All right, Leo, so have a great year. I want to thank you all very much for all of your support, for liking, sharing, commenting, etc. If you ever have any questions, do comment down below, or you can find me at masteringthezodiac.com. And I'll see you guys all for the weeklies and monthlies. Take care.